All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We are going to talk about guarding your payroll and how to protect your business from fraud. We're going to go a little bit outside the bounds. It's not only about payroll here. We're going to talk about all the trends, I guess, in fraud and protecting your business. This is very, very important. We deal with this day in and day out. Sadly, there has been a ton of payroll fraud the last couple of years. We'll go into, what's going on in small businesses and how to protect yourself and how we're working to protect you as well, going through here. So we'll jump right in. So small businesses really have been the target for fraudsters for the last several years. And, as the big companies, all the big Fortune 500 companies, everybody else have built better systems and processes, really small businesses have kind of lagged behind that. We are all, chief cook and bottle washer and everything in between. Sometimes security is not our most, important topic of the day. And that has been proven that the fraudsters want to take advantage of that. We have fewer internal controls. We have fewer people reviewing processes and changes. We don't have as much IT support as we need to. And, to be honest with you, we also don't have deep pockets, and fraud hurts. One fraudulent incident, really could cost your business tens of thousands of dollars potentially. So it's really important that we think about this and we pay attention, especially now that we have such a remote workforce in a lot of industries. There's a lot more opportunity to exploit those weak processes and devices and controls that aren't secured. And the fraudsters know that. So that's why they are coming after us, to be honest with you. They know that, we aren't prepared, we aren't paying attention, and we're easy targets, right? Just like in real crime, they're looking for the folks that are the most vulnerable. And right now, small businesses are the most vulnerable. So what's really happening today is that fraudsters aren't breaking into systems. They're not hacking into your computer anymore. Really, what they're doing is a lot more social engineering, a lot of more manipulating of the people and the process. And basically, they're finding weaknesses in your people and your processes and yourselves who, are willing to give information or passwords or access. And that's kind of how they're getting in here. The other hard thing is pretty much every password you've ever had has been released out onto the internet at this point, because there have been so many breaches over the last several years. All the big companies, all the big systems, and we're not very good at changing our passwords, right? So they're exploiting that too, because we all use, Max the Labrador 123 as our password for everything. And when that happens, they get that once, and then they can get into everything you have, right? And then they're going to use that information to manipulate you and try to get you to give them more information. So we're seeing, these scammers are using emails and texts and phone calls that really appear legitimate and professional. And because they may have gained a little bit of information about you, maybe on social media or in your email, if they've hacked into that, they're going to use that information and make you feel like you should trust them. So certainly, all these messages are designed to pressure you into acting, to get you, to make you believe that they're the real person. We'll go through some of these different scenarios, but really one reply, one click, one approval really can expose you, to either more information, fraudulent activity, stolen money, all that fun stuff. So as with anything, any security, right? You talk about, physical security in your location. We have, certainly have locks, and we have security systems, we have cameras. It's kind of the same thing with, data fraud and financial fraud. We really need to have multiple layers of defense. Technology alone, just like door locks alone, isn't going to stop fraud, right? We have to have the locks, we have to have the security system, we have to have the cameras. From this perspective, we have to have good technology, good firewalls, but we also have to train our people. We have to have good processes in place that have controls in place. And we have to make sure that our people know what is going on out there. What are the scammers trying to get out of you? How are they working? What's going on? Detecting, paying attention and detecting what's going on is really the first step. I mean, I just got a phishing email this morning from one of our clients. Well, it wasn't actually from a client, but basically saying, hey, could you send me all of my W-2s? I need them, right? Well, certainly I'm not sending that through an unsecured channel to be, for starters. But secondly, that person was trying to get everyone's social security numbers, right? Now, we did not fall for that, of course, but that's the type of stuff that's out there. And we're aware of these types of scams, and we're able to detect them and not respond and really protect our clients and a lot of information. So wanted to touch a little bit on cookies, right? These are not, chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin. These are, what sit on your computer and kind of track you around the internet. Now, cookies can be good. They're not all bad. You've probably gone to every website that says yes, accept cookies, right? Well, that was because the European Union requires most public websites to do that now. Anybody, essentially, if there's someone browsing on your website from the EU and you don't allow them to manage their cookies, there's enormous fines. So that's why we all get those pop-ups everywhere. But basically, what a cookie is, it's a small piece of information that sits on your computer, and it allows a website or a software to kind of track you. Now, some of those cookies are good, right? So some of those are like payroll and banking and HR platforms where that cookie is going to remember you so you don't have to do a multi-factor authentication. Those types of cookies are fine. They work good. There are other cookies that are not so good, right? Because they may be tracking you from a marketing perspective. They are out there gathering analytical data. They're looking at what you're looking at. Have you ever gone and looked at the LL Bean website, and then you go to the Portland Press Herald website, and all of a sudden there's an LL Bean ad for new slippers? That's because the LL Bean website has a cookie on your computer that it kept there that said, oh, as you're browsing around the internet at other websites, we're going to keep serving you that ad for, those slippers, right? That's a tracking cookie. Again, not necessarily a bad thing either. It's helping you get more customized ads and so forth, so you're not getting garbage. But the challenge with that is that scammers and fraudsters can manipulate that, and they can also steal that information as well and use that against you. So having, again, good security, most browsers, most firewalls, most antiviruses are protecting this type of data as well. But if those scammers get in there and they say, now they're saying they're going to use those LL Bean slippers against you somehow, right? They may serve you a fraudulent LL Bean website, try to get you to put your credit card in there. Those are the types of things. They're using information to gain trust and to make it look like they are not who they really are. So, obviously keeping your devices up to date is really important. Making sure you have good antivirus, make sure you have good firewalls. Most systems are kind of all in one now. All of our operating systems, Microsoft and Mac and so forth, all have internal firewalls. They're tracking this information, but it's important to make sure that you're doing updates to your computer regularly, right? You've always seen those Windows updates, those Mac updates. They're finding security holes all the time. And when you don't do those updates, that's when the hackers and scammers are coming in and trying to exploit those updates. So keeping things up to date is really, really, really important, in a number of senses, but this is just one of them. So we've really been focusing on this social engineering stuff. And what does that mean? It's really when they're trying to use, they're trying to manipulate human behavior rather than exploiting technical weaknesses. So again, they're taking that, cookie from LL Bean, or they're taking something off of your Facebook profile. If your Facebook profile is public, they're going to go out there and say, hey, my gosh, I saw Max, your dog. He got hit by a car. I'm your friend. I've taken him to the vet. Please give me your credit card number. Enter it here. Right? That's taking something about you and trying to get you to act in a bad way. And that's what they're doing. Especially, again, we talked about those passwords. People are getting into your inboxes because we all use the same passwords for everything. And they're finding information out, and they're emailing vendors. Like I said, we had that quote unquote client email us this morning saying, hey, I need my W-2 information. Because they saw my email in their inbox and said, gosh, this is the payroll person. Let's try to manipulate this person. So that's the type of things. They're pretending to either be a trusted organization or a familiar contact, or again, using information that you have somehow let leak or provided on the internet to try to scam you. So typically these types of things, create a sense of urgency or fear. They want you to act fast. They don't want you to stop and think. These scams succeed because we're all busy. We're all distracted. We're not paying attention. We're not thinking. We just say, oh, yep, click the link, go, right? Oh my gosh, my dog got hit by a car. Here's my credit card, right? That's what they want you to do. So, they're just trying to manipulate you into acting in a bad way. So different types of kind of social engineering, phishing. We've probably heard of these: phishing, smishing, vishing. These are all fun terms, of course. So phishing is email-based scam. This is where an email is going to come from either a fraudulent email or actually a real email. It's going to look real. They're going to, they're going to be out there asking you for private information or accessing this or clicking that. They're out there trying to get you to click and steal either your login credentials or to redirect information, or get, very rarely these days are they installing, viruses on your computer. They're really trying to get information. That's what is happening today. They're not the days of, the old, got to worry about the virus on my computer. That's not as much an issue anymore. It's really they're trying to get information out of you to get logged into a system to either steal your banking, your payroll information, redirect that, all those kind of things. Smishing, I'm sure that I know I do. I get them all day long, right? I get plenty of junk text messages. I get some emails, or excuse me, some texts that are like, "Hey, Chris, what are you doing this weekend?" Right? I mean, trying to be my friend. I, of course, don't answer. Sometimes I do answer. I say, "Oh, no, sorry, this is Elon Musk's phone." Really kind of throw him for a loop and have a little fun with him. But they're going to get out there, same thing. They're also going to say, "Hey, we all get those text codes, right?" They try to manipulate those. They say, "Hey, here's your text code for this website. Click here to log in." Now, it might be your bank. It might look like your bank, but it's really not. You're going to go in there. You're going to enter your credentials. You're going to get served a real code potentially, and you're going to give it to them. They're going to give back to them, and they're going to get into your bank, or into your payroll or whatever. Those are real kind of situations that have happened. And then vishing, obviously, is voice scams. You can now manipulate. We all have caller ID. You can manipulate that caller ID. So we could have it come from a trusted number, right? I could make my caller ID, even with our phone system, I can make my caller ID look like almost any phone number. So I could make that look like 985-4903, which is Kennybunk Savings Bank. And hey, this is Bobby from the bank. Gosh, something really bad happened, and I need, I need your password to get logged in so I can troubleshoot it with you. They're doing that, and they're especially now with AI. The voice, scams are really good. Again, they're trying to get you to share information, share your social, share your banking information, or whatever it is, and people are giving it to them. So here's just a quick example of a phishing email. This is, "Hey, DocuSign, really quick, action required. We really need this." But upon looking at it, the email address is not a real email, right? They're trying to get me to scan a QR code, which QR codes are great, but they also can be dangerous because we don't know what's behind that link. We don't actually see the link. We don't see where it's sending us, right? We just scan it with our phone and we're taken to some random website to log in. And scammers have gotten really good. They're going to make it look like the bank's login. They're going to make it look like the payroll login. It's not, they're trying to fool you, really. This one, again, high priority, action required. The from name is really weird. The email is really weird. It's asking me to take action. The logo's not right. Lots of bad things are going on here. But this is something that we see a lot of. So this is a new thing, pharming. We've seen quite a bit of this actually in the payroll world. Kind of what's happening. Pharming is essentially where you are somehow given a fraudulent website to log into. So this has happened with us and with isolved. If you Google isolved login, for example, scammers are using Google Ads to manipulate the results that come up. isolved login will come up first. It will look like the isolved login. However, you are not at the isolved login. You are at the scammer's website. You will put your traditional credentials in. You're going to put your username. You're going to put your password, and you're going to hit submit. On the back end in Russia or wherever they are, they're actually logging into the real isolved website with those credentials you just put in. And they are going to go and say, "Hey, I'm going to serve you a text message." And that website's going to say, "Hey, give me the text message." You're going to put it in, and they're going to have it in Russia, and they're going to put it in. They're going to get logged into isolved, right? And they're in the back end. They're getting in there. They're stealing payroll information. They're redirecting direct deposits, and so forth. So always look at the URL when you are logging in. Always go direct to websites. Don't go to Google things. If you're getting that link in an email, type it into the browser, papertrails.myisolved.com. Don't just always click the link. Or certainly if you do, make sure you're paying attention to the browser, make sure it's exactly where you want to be. So these fake websites look really good. There's, the credentials once you put those in, they've got everything. They've gotten your MFA, and you get denied. You're like, gosh, oh, password failed, right? And then you keep trying, keep trying. And you're never going to get into that website because there is nothing there. It's literally a form that they are serving to you to collect your information. So, this is a real deal. Again, make sure that you are paying attention where you are logging in. Okay. Obviously, these are some red flags. We talked about the QR codes. They're demanding immediate action or threatening consequences. Gosh, we're going to terminate your account if you don't call us today or you don't click this link. They're trying to scare you into action. Legitimate organizations will not ask you for your passwords, for verification codes. We will not ask you, for your full banking information. We do use, I'm sure when you've called into us or your bank, hey, can I have the last 4 digits of your social? But we're never going to ask for the full information. We're not going out there, trying to get that. Hey, can I have your full bank account number? No, we're not doing that. Keep watch for those. Don't just give that information out. Again, even if you have an unexpected message, even if it's someone you should look out there, right? I mean, we've had this before. Client emails us and says, hey, could you pay Susie $25,000 bonus? I've never seen this client pay a bonus that big to this person ever, right? We pick up the phone, we call our known contact, and we ask them, right? What's going on? Did you really want to do this? And 99.99% of the time, they got hacked. So again, AI is great. We use it, on our end. I'm sure most of you are using AI in your businesses as well. But AI is helping the fraudsters be better. It is helping them move faster, be more convincing, scale bigger and bigger and bigger. It's kind of scary. They are using AI to generate more realistic emails, texts, voices, fake identities. That now, if there's somebody out there that you have enough information on, using AI, you can manipulate and clone their voice, right? As I'm speaking right now, I'm thinking, I have 40 webinars out on YouTube. I'm guessing there is enough vocabulary that I've spoken in those 40 webinars that AI might be able to take that and recreate my voice. Typically, it's, you have to have a big volume of information out there, but in certain circumstances, it's very possible for them to gather information and make it sound realistic, right? And again, they're going to take that public information that's on your Facebook page, if that's not locked down, on your business website, in news articles. They're out there looking for information. They want to relate to you. They want to feel more real. That's what they're trying to do to manipulate you. And again, AI can take that and it can coordinate emails and texts and phones all together, right? So it's, again, moving faster. You may receive multiple messages, that are reinforcing the same story, or something like that. Again, I'm sure we've all heard, hey, Mrs. Jones, your grandson got kidnapped in South Africa. Well, your grandson's really still, sitting next door in their house, right? Don't go wire that money to Uganda, right? Those are the stories that you're out there. And again, AI is allowing these scammers to move faster, look more real, and scale and steal more money and all that stuff. So again, we talked about this. We are the weakest link in the fraud right now. We are too trusting. We are, by nature, we are trusting Mainers, and we just want to help everybody, right? So, when that request comes in, we want to be out there keeping, taking care of our clients, taking care of our employees, and so forth. But we really need to be aware. Everybody in your organization needs to be aware. Whether you're in a restaurant, because guess what? The scammers are calling up there too. I've heard restaurant scams where someone says, hey, I want to order 40 filet mignon to go, right? And of course, when has that ever happened? And they'll give you, there's all these different scams of ways they can do it, but they'll give you a credit card, then they'll do a chargeback. You're out the food, you're out the money. It's a whole debacle. And you just don't want to be involved in that. So you need to educate everybody. If it doesn't seem right, question it, right? All employees need to be aware and trained regularly on this, because this stuff is changing really fast. Again, even a couple of years ago, the stuff we're talking about today was not as prevalent as it is today, because the scammers are evolving, and they will continue to evolve, and we will continue to have to learn and thwart what they're trying to do. So There are many virtual employee training programs out there. We use one called KnowBe4. That's a pretty industry standard system. It's very affordable. We do training quarterly. We have, everyone has to log in once a quarter. We take about a half an hour worth of training on what's going on, updates, new scams, different things. And then we actually test our employees. And, if you're in an industry like us, we go in and we say, hey, we're going to send a phishing email. We're going to send a vishing phone call. We're going to send a smishing text and see if the employees click on it, right? See if they respond to it. See if they give any information. Knock on wood, our team has been very well trained, and they don't fail those tests, which is excellent. And hopefully you guys can get your teams up to speed as well, so they know what's going on. So, and of course, as with any strategic objective, when everyone's working together and everyone's responsible for this, fraud prevention is going to be that much more effective. Once you get the people trained, then you have to start building process. Okay. Anytime there's money moving is typically when scammers are looking to get involved, right? So anytime there's a transfer, anytime there's a bill payment, anytime there's something like that, this is when the scammers are getting in the middle of it and trying to manipulate you, right? It's really easy for one person to get convinced that Max, their golden retriever, got hit by a car and we need to send a wire to the emergency vet immediately, right? Well, when you have two people in there, right, we don't just want anybody being able to send a wire, right, or whatever. We want to have separation of duties. We want to have dual controls. We want to have extra people questioning this. And hopefully that second person isn't super empathetic and isn't like, oh, yes, of course, I'm going to approve that $25,000 wire to the emergency vet for your dog, Max. But again, we want to have those controls in place in there. Anytime there's any banking or payroll or vendor changes, have a second set of eyes on those. Talk that through. Make sure your management teams are talking to ownership and vice versa. Don't just be moving things around and changing things willy-nilly. Have some process. Anytime there's a big change, we do this kind of an out-of-band verification. So anytime there's a change, we'll call back, right? We call our verified number. We don't call the number on the caller ID. We have here's your business phone number. We're going to call that. We only call those known numbers. We don't, do anything provided for messenger, caller ID, so forth. Because you can spoof that caller ID, but you usually can't steal that number overnight and be able to answer that call when we call back. So again, same type of thing, verifying some sensitive information, mother's maiden name, those kind of things. An ounce of prevention prevents, a pound of headache, to be perfectly honest. It's slowing down, paying attention, asking the questions, verifying can really prevent major headaches and financial loss. Passwords. Gosh, how many passwords do we all have, right? I know I have my password keeper on my phone, my secure password keeper, my password manager, and there's hundreds of passwords, all the different systems we log into. Everyone seems to have a different complexity, of course, which is actually very good because it prevents us from using the same passwords across the internet. That is the downfall right now of what's going on is there have been so many breaches the last several years that almost any password you might have used in the last couple of years is probably out on the dark web. And there are people randomly logging into Gmail trying to use that password. There are randomly people trying to log into Facebook using that password. There are randomly people trying to log into your bank or your payroll system with that password that's been compromised. So it's really important that you have good, strong passwords, complex, use passphrases, not just individual words. One of the tricks that I use is I try to append the system that I'm logging into to the password, right? Either the beginning, the end, somewhere in the middle. We have this orange monkey password, and then I said, yep, orange monkey isolved, orange monkey Facebook. That's a unique password. Certainly, the hackers are getting good at that. So they're trying the same things as they're trying to break into things, but it's making it that much more complex for them. And more importantly, it's just not the same password for everything. You're just going to make their jobs that much more difficult, okay? Always make sure that you are keeping track of your passwords in a secure manner, right? If you're using a password vault or keeper on your phone, sticky notes on your desk, definitely not a good place for them because what happens when your office gets broken into, right? Everyone has a little bit different way of doing things, but certainly keep them secure in some sort of way. If you're going to write them down, put that in a locked drawer, for example. Don't make it easy for people to get this information. Certainly, the sticky note on your monitor is not a secure method of storing passwords. Multi-factor authentication. If you have worked with us, you are very familiar with multi-factor authentication because we use a second layer of protection beyond the password, right? Multi-factor authentication is something you know, which is your password, and something you have, which is a text or the authenticator app or a passkey, okay? Or other devices. There are little dongles out there that are part of a passkey, security key as well, that you might have to actually physically plug into your computer in certain instances, right? Or in the old days, we used to have the RSA tokens, which had a random number that generated. Those have largely been replaced by the authenticator app, but it's the same idea. Again, something you know, which is your password, and something you have, which is physical, which is really hard for scammers to get past. Now, I will tell you, in those pharming situations, remember, the pharming website, you enter your credentials, it says, okay, I texted you a code, give me the code, right? Well, you've just given them what you have. So SMS authenticator app doesn't always work. A passkey is currently kind of the highest level of authentication because that passkey is stored on one computer and one computer alone. And if you are not sitting at that computer, you cannot get logged in. I cannot give a pharming website my passkey. Doesn't work that way. So that is currently the highest level of security, kind of industry standard right now. I am very sure that that will change over the next couple of years as things evolve. Again, one of the forms of passkey is either a dongle or a USB key that has to physically be plugged into the computer you're trying to log into. Those are called FIDO tokens or similar. There's a couple of different brands out there, but those are the highest form of security because, again, it is something you have to physically have and you cannot give to a scammer or a hacker. So again, we talked about the authenticator app. That's kind of giving you that code to get logged in. Rather than sending you the code, it's something stored on your device, generates a password randomly for you to get in. The passkeys are, they're great. Facial recognition is now, either the Face ID on your phone or, on your computer. All of our computers now, we use Face ID recognition, and that is giving us an extra step of protection in there as well. So every system you are using today pretty much should have multi-factor authentication turned on. If you do not, you are substantially at risk, again, because all of our passwords are out there on the internet. Any system, and again, most reputable systems have multi-factor authentication turned on or the ability to turn it on and do that. So you should absolutely be doing that in your organization. Email is the #1 threat right now. People are getting into emails. That gives them a treasure trove of information. They are using that information to scam us. So if you do not have MFA turned on your personal email, your Gmail, your Yahoo, your Hotmail, or your business email, do it right now. And if you have not changed your email password in the last 12 months, change it right now. Because again, there have been so many breaches the last several years that those passwords are out there. Okay. Google hasn't gotten breached to my knowledge, I guess, but that doesn't mean that, Verizon got attacked and you might use the same password for Verizon used for your Gmail account. Well, make sure you have multi-factor authentication on so they're not getting in there. That's the majority of the fraud that we've seen in the last year or so has been originating from email access, okay? Obviously, remote work creates new challenges for security. Obviously, we talked about this earlier. Make sure that systems are being updated. Have your IT folks updating those remotely, checking for patches. Make sure your employees are using strong security on their home Wi-Fi networks. Now, these days, we all have Xfinity or Spectrum or anything like that. The Wi-Fi devices that they're giving us are secure, which is good. If you're still using the old Netgear router, probably time to trade that in and get something different. Those may not have the most up-to-date security. They're also not updated. The nice thing with what you might have from a Spectrum router or from a Xfinity router or something like that is that they are managing these devices just like everything else because they don't want to be hacked. So they're pushing updates out and things like that. So make sure that your employees have strong Wi-Fi and security at home as well. Employees should only be doing business activities on business devices. Use your policies and your IT folks to be restricting that. Make sure they're not logging into different systems from their home devices or sometimes even their phones. Those are things to consider as well. And always make sure you're separating that work and personal. Don't be doing personal stuff on your work computer. Don't be sending Facebook messages and Candy Crush and all that stuff from your work computer. Do that on your personal computer, because that's what opens you up to vulnerabilities. So just to give you an idea of some of the things that we've seen in the last year or so, phishing obviously is a big one. We have seen where phishing emails are going out. People are clicking that fraudulent link, trying to log into isolved, giving them their credentials. We've also seen phishing where, again, this comes to us, right? This morning I got one. Please send me all my W-2s. Okay, well, guess what? I just gave out 40 social security numbers to a scammer. Didn't happen, of course, but that's the thing. We've seen that scenario where, hey, I'm coming in, Susie client is saying, paid Bobby a $25,000 bonus, right? They're trying to get me to fraudulently send, here's a new employee, I need to pay them $25,000 tomorrow, right? Those are different kind of phishing emails that we've seen in there. I talked about this earlier, the pharming. Users are Googling iSolved logins, and the hackers are actually using, basically holes in the Google system. They're doing ads and search engine optimization to send you to their fake website. When you are there, you're putting your credentials in and you are giving them the access that they need to get into the system. So always keep an eye on those. So we have removed email as a multi-factor authentication option to get into iSolved, okay? Because we had seen so many email accounts compromised. And when the email account's compromised, you all use the same password, right? john@gmail.com, password 123. Guess what? My Gmail password's the same. With email MFA, we're emailing you the code to the email address that you already have compromised, right? So when you go to log into iSolved, guess what? You're already in their email. You're going to get that email code. Gosh, we're in. Now I'm going to go change the direct deposit account number. And the next time this employee gets paid, that money is gone, right? It's gone off to Russia or wherever. So we only allow SMS, authenticator, and passkey options. Again, passkey is the gold standard. That is something you have that you cannot give away, unlike the SMS or the authenticator. SMS and authenticator are still pretty good, but you can spoof SMS, not as easily as MFA, but it is out there. So, really passkey is kind of the gold standard. Internally, we only allow passkeys. I don't allow my employees to log into iSolved anything other than a passkey. So, because we have the keys to the castle and we want to make sure that we're protecting it. So. Again, use those higher levels of security, whether that's the authenticator or the passkey. We have alerts for both employees and employers. If you're a client of ours, you likely have gotten one of these where it says, hey, Johnny changed his direct deposit. Go double check. Was that really him? We also look at the exceptions registers when we're running payroll and change logs when we run the payroll and say, oh, Bobby changed his direct deposit. Was that real? I know I do that with our employees. I'll message them. I'm running payroll. Say, hey, did you, John, did you change your direct deposit? Yep. Okay. Just making sure. Didn't want to send it off to the wrong place. We also have been enabling direct deposit workflows within the system. So when an employee makes a direct deposit change in the app, an authorized user, a manager, a supervisor, something like that, has to actually go in and approve the change before any money is deposited into that new account. So it's a measure to stop, slow down, contact the employee. Don't email them, right? Because their email might be compromised. Pick up the phone, go see them on the floor, go to their office, whatever. Hey, John, did you change your direct deposit? This is what it is. Are you sure? Great. All right, I'm going to approve it. No, it wasn't you. Gosh, we're going to cancel that. And oh, by the way, you need to change every password everywhere because you've been compromised somewhere. So obviously, using those kind of systems really helps slow down. And I will tell you, since we put these kind of measures in place last July or August, the only fraud that I've really been able to trace has come kind of from that pharming, which is where people are logging into fraudulent websites and giving their credentials. Everything else, I think we've pretty well locked down at this point. So, and again, these guys will change. They're going to adapt. We're going to have to keep changing and going and do what we got to do. So if you suspect fraud, whether it's in your bank or wherever, let your bank know. Stop or reverse any unauthorized transactions, particularly in business accounts. The windows to reject transactions in a business account are much smaller than in a personal account. So certainly keep an eye on that. Obviously, reset passwords immediately to any affected systems. And again, if you have not changed your email password in the last 12 months, go do it right now. That is the biggie right now, and that's where people are getting compromised. So again, let us know. If there's something happens, your bank account's compromised, there's an issue, let us know so we can help prevent that. Save all that evidence because you can report this. Your local police department, for example, does not have the ability to really do this, but the FTC and the Internet Crime Complaint Center, and these are links, when we send these out, you'll get these links. If you are the victim of fraud, you can report this to these organizations. Now, I will tell you, you should not expect that there's going to be a resolution. However, it helps these federal organizations better globally protect us all from crime. It's highly unlikely that you are going to get a resolution or get repaid or anything like that. But just reporting it is giving them more information on how these bad actors are moving around and what they're doing. So it's important, if there is a successful fraudulent attack, report it. So we have a whole lot of resources on our website at our Payroll Trust and Security Center on the website. Lots of information on how we're protecting your information, what you can do to help us protect your information, and so forth. This is, again, ever evolving, and we'll continue to stay on top of it and keep you updated as best we can. I know that there's a lot going on and a lot of things, a lot of technical things, but to be honest with you, these guys are taking a pretty low-tech approach to this, and they are just kind of trying to manipulate us. So it's not always, about having the latest and greatest technology. It's also about being aware and not falling victim. So take a look at that as well. And we're going to send out a few things when we send these slides out as well, so you can take a look at those. So next month, we're going to talk about building stronger handbooks. So that'll be a good one. Danielle, who's our HR consultant, will join me for that. We'll go through some of the things that you want to be paying attention for. And you can register on there right today. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know we talked about a lot of technical things. Certainly happy to answer questions, or we can take it offline if you want to reach out afterwards. But the chat's open, the Q&A is open. Certainly happy to answer any questions. Not seeing anything coming in right now, but certainly, again, feel free to reach out offline. We're all available. You can always reach your payroll processor, just payroll@papertrails.com, and we'll be there to answer those questions. But I appreciate everyone tuning in today. I know this was a heavy topic, not so super exciting, but definitely one we all need to be aware of. So thank you so much for taking the time today, and we will see you next month.